Some time has passed from our past review of UPerfect monitor, and today we have something that has a specific specs in those terms. And I'm really digging this one because right here we have UPerfect UColor O2 and you have non-touch and touch version. Unfortunately, right here, and I'm saying unfortunately for a reason, this is non-touch version, so I can't go into details about that. But what I noticed is, and what I heard and what I read, is that for the touch version, and if you want to use the HDMI, you have to use three cables, one Type-C to Type-A, that is basically used for the touch version to get the accessibility with the touch, and then you have the Type-C to Type-C for the power. Depending, you can plug it into your motherboard directly, or you can plug it in with your wall socket, because you do get the additional adapter, and then HDMI, of course, logical mini HDMI to HDMI. Now we're going to skip that part because we're going to talk about non-touch version, and this one is really interesting. So what we have right here is 16-inch OLED portable monitor with 120 Hz refresh rate, 1 millisecond response time. Resolution is 3K, and this means it's quite close to 3000 pixels. We are talking about 2880 times 1800 with the display ratio at 16 to 10. Now pixel density is 212 ppi, and we have 178 viewing angle because we have an OLED panel. The contrast ratio is 100,000 to 1, and brightness is 500 cardea per square meter without HDR. So it could be somewhere around 450 to 480, somewhere around that. And the interesting thing is 100% DCI-P3 color gamut, 100% sRGB, 95% Adobe RGB, 93% NTSC. We have 1.07 billion color depth with 8-bit FRC, and it has support for HDR. Now, when I'm talking about these specs, and I'll get to the picture part and the picture quality and everything all together quite soon, but I want to touch base with the resolution, the connection part, and the refresh rate. Because what happens here, if you go with 3K resolution with the HDMI directly to your HDMI port on your graphic card, you can't get 120 Hz because this is HDMI 2.0. So what happens here? If you go with HDMI and go with the maximum resolution, that is 2880 times 1800, you get 100 Hz refresh rate. But if you lower down the resolution to 2560 times 1600, you get 120 Hz, which is still okay. And there's another thing, it doesn't support adaptive sync, so no AMD FreeSync or no NVIDIA G-Sync. And in those terms, what you get is, well, basically, if you hit above 120 FPS in that resolution that I mentioned, or above 100 FPS in the other resolution that I mentioned, you're getting possibly screen tearing. So if you're solid with, and if you're good with that kind of FPS in this type of resolution, you'll be quite satisfied. I'm definitely sure about that. But if you're going more with the workflow and you're going with the maximum resolution 100 Hz, I think you'll be quite satisfied. And specifically, if you're pairing it up with a MacBook or you want to use it as a side monitor or anything similar to that, 100 Hz or 120 Hz in the lower resolution should be just fine. Now, it has built-in speakers, and the same thing as I say about the regular size monitor, I'm going to say with this one, they should be relevant because we can't get a proper sound. I mean, they sound okay-ish, but not worth mentioning too much. We have 2 times 8 ohms, 1 watt, and that's it. Now, it supports at the back VESA mount 75 times 75 with M4 times 4 millimeters. It comes with a cover case, and this is quite interesting. So the weight of the monitor is, just monitor, 0.72 kilos. And if you add this cover, you add 340 grams additionally. So altogether, it's just slightly above 1 kilo altogether, because the thickness, and we're talking about this is quite interesting, the top part of the screen is 3.5 millimeters, so ultra thin, and the lower part where you have the connection and the buttons is 6.5 millimeters, so basically the lower half, even above, because basically the lower half or the lower 1/3 of the monitor is dedicated for the connection part and for the buttons. So when we're talking about the buttons and the connections, on the right side you have one HDMI and 2 Type-C ports. I already explained what you use for what. You can connect it directly to your PC with Type-C and it works properly. You don't have to worry about that. And on the left side you access the OSD menu, which is a bit outdated with the design, but I'll pass that and just say it's really user-friendly when we're going through the menu, so nothing drastical. And you have some shortcuts which will give you access towards the volume and the brightness. Now, when you turn it on for the first time, it immediately goes to 20% of the brightness. So you have to pump it up to get this visual aspect, this insane picture. This is just brilliant with this, as I said, around 450 nits, and that's outstanding still with the maximum brightness turned on. But the thing is, when you shut down your PC, what happened in my scenario is that it constantly goes back to 20%. So I guess when they roll out with proper updates and when they fix all that stuff, I think these problems won't persist. Let's be honest. But in general, what I can say is that with 100% DCI-P3 really high color gamut, you have images and videos that are really vivid and realistic, and I was really enjoying gaming on it for definitely gaming. And then when we go with pictures, videos, and everything all together, you see those colors really pop quite nicely. And it actually has the consistency in showing the colors outstandingly good, so you don't have to worry about that. Now, the resolution is something that I didn't expect, specifically on this type of 16-inch monitor, which is also portable, lightweight, and then you have this insane resolution with 100 Hz on HDMI, and that's also quite good. But as I said, extremely light and slim design. You can carry it around anywhere with your laptop or just have it as a sidekick. And yeah, that's it. If you're carrying it with your MacBook, you only need Type-C connection, and that's it. You don't need any more cables. You're powering it on, you can do whatever you want, you can make it as a perfect sidekick, or if you're carrying it around just for the sake of, I don't know, kids have long trips and you need something to pair up with your PlayStation or whatever console, or you're having a mini portable PC, you can do that as well and game on it, because after all, you can lower down the resolution, get those 120 Hz, or just use the maximum resolution and go with 100 Hz. In general, what I can say and conclude, lightweight and super slim. Enjoying that part. I'm also enjoying the panel and the colors. The colors are so outstanding, and I'm really enjoying it in those terms. It doesn't have that matte finish. It's a glossy panel. It's glossy screen, so you'll see reflections. But if you turn off all the lights, in general, it should be okay. I mean, when I was testing out the gaming part, I think I had only one softbox turned on, and it wasn't directly towards the monitor, so I didn't see any reflection, and that was good. I did see some parts that were black on white, and that did show on the screen, as you can see from a close-up, but in general, everything else is just there, and I'm really digging it because, well, after all, it is a quite solid monitor, specifically for this price. So I'll put the links in the description for the Ucolor O2 touch and non-touch version, so you can choose whatever suits you best. Depending if you want to go for work, you might consider going with a touch model, which will definitely give you more freedom of usage and versatility in your workflow. And non-touch version basically for gaming and everything else that you need to do. It's just like that. So yeah, that sums it all up. Shame for the HDMI that it's 2.0 and not higher, so you can actually reach that maximum refresh rate with the maximum resolution. But regardless of that, I think it's still quite solid. Links are in the description, so you can check them out, as I stated. And I really would appreciate if you're new to the channel, subscribe, hit the like button for the video, and click the notification bell for future content. And of course, I'll see you quite shortly. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.